Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman. Now I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit-Down. Okay, so it's not Wednesday night, and it's not even Thursday night anymore. It is Friday morning, and the Seaman has had quite a stretch of long night shifts at work lately, and I got home earlier than the rest of the week last night, but it was still late enough where while I was watching what I needed to watch, I fell asleep. So yes, it is Friday morning, but we are getting ready to talk about something that happened on Wednesday nights. Pull up a chair, man. Take a seat. I finally just finished watching, and trust me, I've wanted to watch this way sooner than now, but I just finished American Horror Story Apocalypse's 7th episode, Traitor. And coming off of the Murder House episode last week, which was just filled with all sorts of wonderful pop moments and really good writing and story, this one had a few less pop moments. This was a kind of a more mediocre, maybe the most tame, average episode of the season. But that doesn't mean that there weren't a few moments that made me go, I mean, check them out. What?
49.
What the shit? You got some nice, some really interesting, like, oh crap moments, and you also got a couple funny moments. Joan Collins was on fire in this episode. Anytime she was on screen, man, she was making you laugh playing Bubbles McGee. Oh, fuck. Now that's a conundrum. The camera there. But the whole cast, shows up and does a good job in an episode that really needed to be story based, right? We needed to kind of get this episode in there to kind of set up where we're going next. And we all know that in a 12, 13 episode season, even a 10 episode season, you're going to get one or two of those episodes in the course of the year that are a little bit slower, kind of like at the start of the season, right? And that's kind of what tonight was. We kind of had to set up a bunch of story stuff that's leading us head on toward Michael Langdon, the Antichrist. But tonight, man, we were chilling with the witches of the coven, and everybody shows up and does their job really well. Sarah Paulson, always fantastic. Billy Lord has a real nice episode, man. We got to see some cool stuff with Billy Lord that I really, really dug. Mallory is very clearly becoming one of the most powerful witches in the coven, and the stuff she pulls tonight, pretty dope. We also got a return of a character that I was real psyched to see come back, because I was trying to figure out where or how they might integrate this character back into the story, because at some point you'd imagine they'd have to show back up, just from an acting standpoint, even if it's not the character we previously saw. But we got a comeback that I was like, yeah, and the coolness that just seeds out the body of this character, man, when they show up. They have a moment, man, where like one of them walking shots, and you're just like, oh, so cool. I was pumped about that. We got to see, as I said, Sarah Paulson has a really good episode, but we got to see Cordelia do some dope stuff, and a lot of it kind of being clever, as they kind of ramp up their bit against the warlocks. So I dug the episode tonight. Everybody showed up in the coven. They all brought something to the episode. Coco actually has a really, really great section as well. Leslie Grossman's character gets a nice little bit of development that, again, makes you laugh and kind of is very enjoyable to watch, but also provided one of the most awkward and strange scenes I've maybe seen in any episode of television in the last year or so. There's a scene that happens featuring Leslie Grossman that kind of sets up something for Billy Lord. But the lead up to what Billy Lord does, you're just like, why? How are we? What in the world? That was so fast. It's really kind of funny, and then you get this kind of like, wow, and you kind of really get to see what Billy Lord is bringing with her Mallory character. So it was a solid episode for the witches, and it sets up some really nice stuff that's I think, going to set up a real nice episode for Cody Fern, who I kind of skimmed over last week, but man, did he knock last week out of the park. He earned himself an off day with any of the flashback storytelling that they were doing surrounding Michael last week. Cody Fern was just on fire. I love him so much. So only not in the episode at all, but you see the sneak peek for next week. He looks like he's coming big and ready. So there you go, man. That is my quick non-spoiler review of American Horror Story's 7th episode, Traitor. And the title plays in right at the end, which kind of brings up some nice stuff. But yeah, solid episode, but not nearly as big or as exciting as the last few have been. Probably somewhere closer to episode 1-2 level, but solid writing, really progressed the story, I thought, quite well, and is setting up what should be a fun episode next week. So there you go, man. That's all my non-spoiler thoughts on episode 7, Traitor. If you have not watched the episode yet, what are you doing, man? The Seaman's 2 days behind. You should be way in front of me. But if you still haven't watched it yet, I hadn't had a chance. If your schedule's been as crazy as mine has recently, this is what you gotta do, man. You got to get out of here, because we're about to break down everything in this episode that I was digging. So you're at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, man. So that's it. It is time to dive into all the spoiler goodies in episode 7, Traitor from American Horror Story. And man, even though it was a tame episode, there were a few treats and things that I really did like. Like I said, the writing was real solid. And we start out by seeing Adina Porter back as Dinah Stevens, who we haven't seen since they, revived all the witches that were in there. And we find out that she's not just any witch, man. She is, of course, on the voodoo side, and she's actually the new voodoo queen. No Angela Bassett, no Marie Laveau, which is super upsetting. But Adina Porter, man, she gives a good whack out the ballpark of being the new voodoo queen. She starts by, the episode opens with her like slicing open a woman's chest, but voodoo style, right on a doll, and just blood shooting all over the place, rips the heart out. It's beaten, and you're like, what is going on? Really cool shot, too. It's all black and dark around them, except the two of them. You just got blood spewing. It was really nice to watch if you like blood spewing everywhere. But yeah, you got this like beating heart in her hand. You're like, what is going on? Where did we leave off last week? And then we find out that she's been hired by some wife who has a cheating husband, and she wants, Dinah Stevens to stop her husband from cheating. So she whips up a concoction that needs the heart of the female that the husband is sleeping with, something from the husband, which the woman uses toenail clippings, some little, I don't know, liquid that gets thrown in there, blends it all up, and then force feeds it to the husband, and now he'll never cheat on the wife again. And it's just one of those like kind of funny, like, all right, this is a way to kind of set up Dinah as Sarah Paulson wants to talk to Papa Legba, played by Lance Reddick, because she needs help, and she wants to ask the help of Papa Legba to try to stop Michael, and offers to sacrifice herself, but Legba says, I want all of your girls, all their souls, and Paulson's like, I can't do that. Legba disappears, and Dinah Stevens is like, Cordelia, what are you doing? You only get one shot with Papa Legba, and he ain't coming back, man. You're done with him now. So, it was one of those kind of like, it was just kind of in there to bring back some characters that we like. And, seeing Papa Legba and Lance Reddick come back was really nice to see. And it gave Adina Porter a nice little bit to do. But ultimately, doesn't have it, no outcome other than just seeing some faces from Coven on the voodoo side that were very nice to see, since we weren't seeing Angela Bassett. But the rest of the episode kind of runs in the sense that the Coven is gearing up to go after Michael, and before they can do anything, they want to stop some of the warlocks that are kind of in charge, and with the help of good old Billy Porter, who plays, Behold Chablis. Oh God, he's just a pleasure every time he's on screen. They do, but it's kind of funny because we get this really, really funny bit with Coco, played by Leslie Grossman, and it's really quite funny. We find out that her powers, as they're rising, are actually she rolls her eyes into the back of her head, and she can tell what the calorie count is on anything, whether it's been eaten or not. No matter what the portion size is, if there's like a calorie count on like something in particular, but someone's taking a bite out of it, she knows exactly how many calories are left, which kind of becomes a plague when she wants ice cream later on in the episode. But when she's kind of with the girls, again, one of these kind of fun light moments before things that are going to get real dark. But you get to kind of see all the girls, having fun, and then all of a sudden, Leslie Grossman starts choking on whatever she's eating, and then dies. And this is that scene that I was talking about, that like you just were like, what? How does nobody know how to do the Heimlich? What?
49. Are you done? Oh, you done. One more. Okay, you know what? I think I need a break.
What is happening? What? 3 witches ain't nobody know how to do the Heimlich? What the shit?
Holy shit.
Why didn't they do the Heimlich?
I just helped her. I've never seen anything like it.
She starts choking, and all the girls are like, oh my gosh, somebody do something. Somebody use a spell. It's like, just get behind her and give her the Heimlich. She'd be good. Not even 15 seconds of choking, Leslie Grossman dies, and I'm just like, well, that was strange. But it gave us quite a moment for Billie Lourd's Mallory, where she just, with her finger, goes, opens up the neck, reaches into the esophagus, and pulls out the thing that's choking Grossman, and then, kind of seals it back up just without touching, just using her hand. And, of course, you have Tessa Farmiga's Zoe just kind of standing there like, whoa, huh? What magic is that? I've never seen it. And Billie Lourd's just like, I just helped. It's at that point that, the rest of the girls realize that Sarah Paulson's not losing her powers because of Michael. She's starting to lose her powers rapidly because Billie Lourd is ascending to be the new Supreme. Which is dope because we get to see Billie complete the 7th of the 7 tasks, which is, raising the dead in some way. And that brings back the character that, I said there were a couple characters, but one that I was like really pumped that came back just in general, right? Like Papa Legba was really nice to see, but getting back Cheyenne Jackson as John Henry, it was so exciting. They bring Billie Lourd to the place where his ashes are, and Zoe is able to gather all the ashes into a pile, and Billie Lourd resurrects them. And we get that one of those cool kind of old throwback, old-timey kind of, video shots that we've gotten any time, the 7 tasks are being performed. And although we only watched the 1, we do get to see that. And then Cheyenne Jackson back and ready to go. And it was like, you saw the lead up to it. You have Paulson going, we're going to make our first move now. And you're like, oh, shoot, they're going right after the Warlocks already. And no, they're bringing back Cheyenne Jackson because the only way they can really do away with the 2 Warlocks they want to do away with, which of course are being played by B.D. Wong and John Briones, right? Ariel Augustus and Baldwin Pennypacker. And Paulson wants to take them out, do away with them. But the only way that she can do it like legally within the witch world is to burn them at the stake. And the only person that can light that flame is a fellow warlock who can attest to the fact that they betrayed one of their own by killing Cheyenne Jackson. So having him back allows them to do such an event. But before we get there, we go in on the lead up, and you see just a wonderful scene with B.D. Wong and John Briones, where B.D. Wong's got this vial of powder, and he's talking about how this is the newest concoction. It will just make people bleed out of their pores. They'll bleed out by bleeding out of their pores. Ariel Augustus, John Briones' character, is just sitting there like, ooh, like this is really intriguing. This is great. And then B.D. Wong blows it in his face, and he's like, what the F? Are you trying to kill me? And you're like, oh, good Lord.
What the fuck? Are you trying to kill me?
And then BD Wong is like, no, don't worry. It only kills women.
Because it only kills women. This is the magic bullet we will use to destroy the witches.
Right, because they're just targeting the witches. Like, this is how we'll take the whole coven of witches out. And then they both start laughing. It's really quite funny. A nice moment before Sarah Paulson shows up, seals their fate. They're like, oh, your powers are waning. Makes their mouths disappear. And they end up capturing them to send them to the stake. But, the one warlock that we've kind of left out, I mentioned earlier, Behold Chablis, played by Billy Porter. He gets a wonderful moment where when they realize that Mallory is the one that's ascending, Paulson has, by the way, I'm all over the place, right? But before they go after the Warlocks, they're having a nice dinner and kind of celebrating because Mallory is rising to be the next Supreme. And that kind of gives everybody hope that they might be able to stop Michael. And Billy Porter's sitting there, he's like, how do you all be just drinking wine right now when people are about to die? Like, we got to make moves. He was really solid anytime he pops up, man. And that, is like, don't worry, we're going to make a move. But first, we're going to celebrate, and then we'll go. And bringing back Cheyenne Jackson was great, man. He shows up, and that's that moment where that character, I was just like, oh, so cool. He comes walking out, Sarah Paulson does the whole build-up. They also catch, they use Coco to catch Miss Miriam Mead, played by Kathy Bates, because she's the traitor. Boom, there's your title. And they basically send Coco to be like a double. She's going out there to be the lore. Knocks on her window and is like, "You're gonna burn." And Kathy Bates is like, "I saw you following me in the supermarket. You didn't think I knew you were coming?" She's like, "I'm gonna put you in my pot and make turn you into stew." And then our good old the albinos, the three albinos show up and grab Bates from behind before she can go after Coco, throw her in. So now you have all three of them at the stake, and before they can, Paulson's just like, we're gonna uphold tradition. Only the person that was been wronged, that can attest to being wronged or seeing the wrong, can light the fire. And boom, Cheyenne Jackson comes out, and the walk and strut he has, just like, oh, he's so cool. Lights everybody up on fire. And now you've wiped out all the warlocks. Michael's got no power structure. It's just him. In the sneak peek we get for next week, it seems like he's found a cult following of devil worshippers. So we're leading up, man, to some big things in episode 8. You see Paulson and the group in front of Michael, and he just screamed. Things are going to be nuts next week. I think this was a really nice setup episode to build to something that I think should pop big time next week, man. So there you go. Another solid episode. I'm telling you, this season has been solid all the way through. We've had really, really high peaks, and if we're coming down to medium-sized valleys, we're doing really good. And this was not a far drop-off. Like if you look at the IMDb scores, almost everything from this season has been a 9, and this has been just a 9.0. And that, I think, is right. I think every episode this season has been really solid. This one's just, one of the lesser of really good stuff. But all around, another solid episode, setting up what hopefully will be something like the return to Murder House. So there you go, man. That's all my spoiler thoughts on American Horror Story Apocalypse Episode 7, Traitor. Now it is your turn, man. Hit those comments down below. Let me know what you're thinking. If you've got any spoilers, make sure you note them, because, there are some people, I guess, watching the non-spoiler section. Let me know everything that you liked and didn't like about this episode. If you're excited where we're going, are you thinking that the season's starting to maybe this could be the first stumble and like, maybe we lose it here? Or do you think we are in for an all-around solid year? I certainly think we are, because it's been rock solid thus far. So there you go, man. Leave all those down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And as always, if you're new here, hit that subscribe and little bell so you get alerts every time I make a new video. For the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down, I'm the Seaman. I'm signing off. Peace! Hey, still here, guys. Well, so is the Seaman, and I'm here to remind you that the fun doesn't have to stop. You can keep it going with just a couple clicks of a button. So make sure you check out videos either here or here. And if you're new and haven't done it yet, please hit that subscribe button over here.